I can rely on being a victim to circumstance that precludes me from needing to face the fear or the reality that, no, I just don't have the courage to go walk the path that they walked. And if I want to hide behind the academia, because what academia does predominantly is fuel the myth that if I learn enough skills, that'll give me the certainty to succeed. And I got news for you. The biggest challenge with academia is that it sells people down a corridor that says that if I acquire enough skills, I'll have the certainty to go and succeed. And that is a myth, because skills do not give you certainty. They give you skills. Certainty is internal. Skills are external. You will never replace an internal need for certainty with external skills. So if you are looking to use skills to replace certainty, you're on a hamster wheel. That's what I said. You go to I need to know how to start my own business, so I go take a course on business, or I get my MBA, and then I go on to the advanced, and then I go on to the super advanced, and the trainer course, and the train the trainer course, and the train the trainer's trainer. Doesn't stop. You can't learn to swim on dry land, to quote Bruce Lee. What will give you the certainty is taking the bat off your shoulder, stepping up to the plate and swinging and see what happens. But if you think that, it's okay for them because they must have been born with a gift. They must have had, lucky parents and, access to capital. And no, I can show you that the biggest travesty of humanity is those who had all of the resources, the best education, the best parents, the best access to credit lines, be in the right place at the right time, all of the stuff that we think would be the best cards to hold in the deck. And they did absolutely nothing but fail flat. And then I could point to numerous cases throughout human history. We had people that got what you would call a bum deal. They didn't have any of that. And they went and knocked it out of the park and made the rest of us look with open mouths and go, wow. See, the difference that makes the difference isn't the skills you have. It's the intangible. It's, as you said, desire, determination, the ability to persist, the ability to be willing to step up and raise your hand again, even though the teacher shot you down. The willingness to stand in front and say, I believe this is the path I'm walking and no one's talking me out of it, when everybody says you're an idiot. That level of inner muscle is what determines the world we live in, that is built by the people that walk that path, not the people that had the most certificates on the wall.
And of course, sometimes when you jump, you do fail. And this is another flaw that I kind of, see in the mindset in Eastern Europe, and especially in Europe, that we somehow shame failure. We don't have a very, healthy failure culture. We put labels on the people who have failed. And also ourselves, it's, for us, it's very, hard to recover from failure, to overcome this kind of labels. And sometimes we also use them for ourselves. I remember, the first time that I tried to be an entrepreneur and it didn't work out. And then at some point, because I was the salesperson, and I would prepare everyone that I knew that there's going to be a venture and this topic, and I'm doing that, and we're working now on the platform and everything, so on and so forth. So every time when I encountered someone that I pitched my idea to, after we have failed, they would ask me, hey, what happened? When is it coming out? And each time when I have to answer the question, I would be reminded of what a failure I was. And for a long time, it was hard for me to overcome this. And I think this is something that we very much have here in Eastern Europe, which is on the other side of the ocean, celebrated. Yeah. Tell me about failure.
Ties in again to what I mentioned earlier about goop, the good opinion of other people. It also ties into something I mentioned recently about a lot of entrepreneurs mistakenly attach their self-worth to their net worth. And if you understand that, for me, failures are my capital. If you go to Tom Watson, founder of IBM, it's a famous story about how one of the sales reps made a mistake, a catastrophic mistake that cost the company $1 million. This is back in a time when $1 million was a lot of money, right? A lot more than it is today. And he gets called into the office. and the sales guy is obviously certain he's going to get fired. And that's a pretty big mistake. And he walks in and Tom Watts says, do you know why I've called you? He says, well, clearly I'm going to be fired. So I'm so sorry. He says, fire you? It just cost me $1 million to train you. See, your failures are your capital. All right, I've failed more times than I've won. As I said, some have wiped me out. One of my biggest ambitious companies, I put years of my life in and millions of dollars out of my own pocket and some millions out of my friends' and family's pocket. It was a spectacular failure commercially. Hey, I learned a lot. That's a great education. People that pay $250,000 to go to Harvard don't get the kind of education. I mean, I paid probably $4 million for mine when it came to how much money I personally lost in that deal. But what an exciting venture. What an exciting education. And so now when I go to the next round, I'm carrying $4 million worth of lessons that some people will never get because they're not willing to try or pick up the bat. See, failure isn't falling down. It's staying down when you've fallen. That's real failure. Go talk to a baby that's trying to learn how to walk and they get 3 steps and fall over. When was the last time you saw a baby say, that's it, I quit. This walking thing, not for me. No, they keep going until they walk. Maybe there's a formula there that we forgot when we started to learn how to walk that we should remember when we fall down in business.
Tune in next week for a very special episode of the Recursive podcast. Irina welcomes the serial entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and author, Peter Sage. And if you are just as passionate about innovation as we are, hit subscribe for the Recursive podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. We're everywhere.